Good morning, the first morning coffee of 2023. I've been having coffee, don't worry. The first morning coffee with you. And I've missed having coffee with you, but for December, I did the Faith Over Fear Challenge, so we weren't having coffee together. If you're new to my life, a few times a week, chat with you over my morning coffee, which is super, super early. It's like 4:30, because that's when I'm up and getting my day going. And so today, I wanted to ask you, how many of you have an ex in your life, an ex-spouse, an ex-partner, and especially if you have children together? Because if you have an ex and you don't have children together, then you can pretty much just be an ex, right? But if you have children together, then that person is forever in your life. And I'm curious, how do the holidays go for you in that situation? So yesterday, I did a live. If you didn't catch it, I talked about the things that I have found in my own life and in my training and then in the work that I do that are super, super important for people to move forward and create the life that they want. And one of those things, I talked about a few of them, but one of those is forgiveness. And I shared how that has played out in my life. So I want to just give you that little piece because in times like the holidays, we really see what's still in the space between people, what's been forgiven and moved on. What do we think we've moved on from, but actually still is really there? And we know that because feelings come up again. So if you didn't catch that live yesterday, and even if you did, it was very blurry. The internet was terrible for me here, and it was very blurry. But I have the audio for my first podcast episode, so I'll share that with you. I'm so excited to announce that. That was one of my things I was working on at the end of 2022, was to have this podcast going. So that's just audio. So it's you can get the info without watching the blurry face. If you're new in my life as well, you may not know that the way that my marriage went, had a lot going on, but we have two children together, and one of them, my daughter Charlotte, passed away a few years ago, and she was a very medically fragile child her whole life. Open heart surgery the night she was born, and on and on. And we both dealt with the stress of that in different ways. None of them were good. I take full ownership for that and full ownership for who I was. And one way that Mike dealt with it was he had another relationship. He found a way to leave the stress by having another relationship. And in fact, he has a 5-year-old son from that relationship, and we were still married. Charlotte was still alive when he conceived that little boy. So there was a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. There were huge chunks of time in our marriage because that relationship was going on for many, many years, and I knew about it. I just didn't have the capacity to deal with that while I was dealing with my children. So it just went on, and the anger and the upset built and built and built. And so forgiveness has brought us to the place, both of us, I required forgiveness as well. Somebody doesn't go and have an affair if things are great, right? So I have responsibility in that. But forgiveness for us now looks like we spent a lot of time of the holidays together. And for my son, that is so important. So Christmas Eve, Mike came here. We had dinner, just the three of us. We had our Christmas Eve as a family. New Year's Day, he came again. I had a lot of people here, and he brought his son, which is delightful, who reminds me of my son when he was 5 years old. My son gets to spend time with his little brother, which fills a hole for us in some ways since Charlotte's been gone. So the power of forgiveness is life altering, I'm here to tell you. And sometimes we think we've forgiven, but there's still stuff there. I just did a really great group call last night with my clients, and it was one of the things we wanted to get January started off with, was digging deep into forgiveness in ways, a very spiritual way that is not like traditional forgiveness. So, do you have an ex in your life? And if you don't, where are you holding unforgiveness anywhere else? Parents, family, ex-jobs, current jobs, friends, siblings. How would your life be different if you could truly and deeply forgive and create from a new place? Have a great day. Welcome January.